Alrighty, well, we've got all of our propane stuff off. I'm gonna leave the rack on. If they give me flack, I'll cut it off, but whatever. I've also got the old brake box removed. I cut out the rest of this wiring. There's really nothing good remaining of it anyways. I've got the actual wiring back here for the brakes, but I don't think it actually goes anywhere, so gonna figure that out too. I mean, quite literally, it's just like cut off. So I bet the other side's the exact same way. So gonna start piecing it together. Got a pretty cool setup. I need to get that fender secured and start kind of dialing it in, but should be pretty awesome. Yep, gonna get the brake box on there and go from there. So I've built and rewired a few trailers, but I've never seen this before until I kind of started looking at maybe, better ways to do it. So I've got my 7-pin here, which is, pretty standard, but it's got this junction box with it. And so what I'm gonna do is mount this eventually inside of the camper just to kind of keep it dry. But yeah, so what I'm gonna do is just get it kind of mocked up here to where they can see it, view all the functions and whatnot. And my hookups, I believe, always on the left side. So gonna get that kind of gone through, and I don't think I'm gonna mount this big thing, but I've got the cover, so I'll probably just whip it on the handle, and that way it'll kind of keep the water off of it anyways. So yep, gonna get this set up first. All right, well, this weekend was kind of a wash, but we had some fun with family. But needless to say, I've got the 100-foot roll of wire. So what I've done is just ran it up to the front, and then basically just walked it around the whole trailer because trying to orient and tuck this on the roll just wasn't going to happen. So what I'm going to do is give myself a little bit extra wire past this box here, and this will give us some breathing room. So that way, whenever we actually go to make these connections, it won't be so bad. So that said, I do have extra wire if I decide I want to add something, or like reverse lights, which is definitely going to happen, but not for this first iteration of just getting around the road. So that said, I've got my lights kind of oriented the way that I think they need to be, so based on the state's requirements. So anyways, gonna get this wired up. I think tomorrow in the morning it's gonna be real cold, so that's why I'm kind of doing this now, so it's not so terrible to deal with. Yeah, so it's the opportunity cost of spending time with the family, so it is what it is. But anyways, enough complaining. We've got to finish some welding yet. I need to make sure that all this is flush and we're not just grossly overshooting that. I need to figure out how to get this door set up. I'm gonna stash that while they're here, but anyways, should be pretty cool. So next thing you'll see is either me talking through a decision I made, or you might see some lights. So we'll see what we decide, but got everything set up here, so gonna get to it. Okay, well, definitely not going as fast as I would have liked, but as you can see from the standing ice, it's really just cold out now. So trying to adapt and overcome. We got a day in the 40s. That's really the afternoon, so I'm gonna try to get all this wiring knocked out. Got all my tools defrosting because they're so cold. But I was gonna go with the bullet lights on the actual frame itself, but it pains me to cut holes that big into the steel to pop those in. So what I'm gonna do is just use these. They'll stick out a little more, but that's not really a problem. Aesthetically, they're fine. So gonna start getting these mounted, and then once we do that, get it all wired up, and then it'll just be getting the junction box and everything hooked up, and then swapping our tires out and trying to get it inspected. So should be pretty good. Let's get into it. Alrighty, well, what I decided to do is just get the middle holes done through where the wire goes in. I am very impatient, which means I'm really not supposed to be drilling, but this Tap Magic, I kind of messed up my, whatever that expandable bit is, but what I ended up doing is on the fenders, adding my lights in respectively midway, and then on the end I'm going to use the big ones. So got that going. I'm going to try to beat this bumper back square and then add the lights. Not too sure where I'm gonna do those, but it'll be fine. And then from there, what I'm gonna do is start to get all this wired up. I need to start at the junction box and get that all set in. And then once that's good, gonna start to daisy chain along, and we can start making some either fuses blow or lights come on. So I've got my wire here, and so as you can see, it's all stranded together. So what I've been doing is taking the knife and slitting in between them, and then I'm pulling out the two that I'm working with. So in this case, it's the white and green. I've got gloves on, so it's a little hard to pull them apart, but yeah. So anyways, what I do is I cut it with that, and then I'll go in once I've got these separated, and then I'll stretch it apart to pull my wires, and then I can actually tap into whatever light I'm working on. So I'll show you how that looks. Okay, so got our two wires pulled apart. Kind of rotating on me, but whatever. So what you do is you take your tool, so I've got our green wire. There you go. Yep, get that pulled off. And we'll do our same for our white here. This one I did kind of mangle on the first attempt. Let's see if we can do it a little better. Whatever. We'll just come down a little bit, make us a new one, and naturally it's on video, so it's not going to go well, but you can see what I mean. It's not, overly complicated. So anyways, that exposes our wire. Just grab this. Trimmed off. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got all of our connections just kind of loosely tied in. That way I can actually test the functionality before I go and solder everything on. So we're gonna keep knocking these out, but yeah, super pleased with this. I did notice one thing is if you don't get it like perfectly on the like in the middle, it'll actually pull out a little bit of the wire, or it won't make a clean cut like you saw in the beginning. So definitely, take your time, make sure you get it teed up. But this thing's awesome. I wish I would have known about this years ago, because I do so much like kind of obscure wiring, and I'm sure I'll add some lights to that or whatever, but it's just like that would have made it so much easier. Because like on that excursion I had, I literally would take the knife, run it over, and cut my fingers all up trying to just strip the protective covering off. So this is really nice. So as you can see, I got a lot of wiring to do here, which isn't even a lot in retrospective compared to what I'm about to start doing with the actual trailer itself. So anyways, I just wanted to call out this tool, super helpful here. Okay, so I haven't soldered anything together, but I did go ahead and add all my wires in. This one's super sketch. This has fallen like 3 times. So what I decided to do on the tail lights is, one, I haven't wired those in, and I need to look at the wiring on that. I'm just gonna lop the bumper off on each side and weld those to the edge of this angle right here. They're in the same spot, and it'll be a little recessed, but it'll be fine. And then I'm gonna mount a toolbox on here anyways. So I'm just gonna basically cut out the middleman, and because this looks terrible, I don't wanna have to fix it only to never use it and have to reinvent the taillights again. So I'm just gonna move those right here. And then where it's kind of bashed in, just kind of straighten it out, make it look kind of nice and pretty. I might go ahead and get the toolbox mounted on there. I'm not too sure yet. Yep, otherwise just doing a final check that nothing is touching. While I've got the grinder out, I'm gonna go ahead and fix this, so that way that's, not janky looking. And then, yep, just kind of go from there. So yeah, super pleased. It's cold, but kind of warming up, so just kind of making do. I might make another grounding point right there on that bracket, but yeah, looks good. So guess let's plug the truck in and see if anything blows up. Okay, well, so far so good. All I did was just hit the unlock button, and all of our little lights are twinkling. So this is a really good sign. and last one. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is work on my turn signals and tails. I also realized I never gave an overview of this, so I got this box mounted up, and I also mounted up the brake thing, so got that all on there, and then otherwise got all my wiring connections done. I was thinking about running an extra ground, but I might tap off of that at some point. So anyways, that's really going to conclude it for the wiring part. We've got everything done, you know, until I get the actual frame up. And then, you know, I add my clearance lights and all that kind of good stuff. So, yeah, this is really the groundworks of it. I'm hoping it'll be easier once I can get it in the air. But with that said, yeah, be sure to subscribe if you're curious about how this goes, have any questions, because I can always do a follow-up video. That's not a big deal. So let me know. Yeah, otherwise, thanks for tuning in and subscribing, and be sure to look out for the next one. Thanks.